Good afternoon and welcome to the City of Helena City Commission Administrative Meeting. The date, December 18, 2024. The time is 4 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Madam Clerk.
City Attorney Doctor.
Here.
Acting City Manager Petty.
Here.
Commissioner Dean. Here. Commissioner Logan.
Here.
Commissioner Reed. Here. Commissioner Shirtliff.
Here.
Mayor Collins.
Here. Welcome and thank you for participating in the City Commission Administrative Meeting. We are pleased to be able to provide this alternative meeting format in the city's effort to broaden public participation. Please be patient as we may experience technical difficulties during the meeting. We welcome your public commentary. Please read the following tips and guidelines for the app usage and your participation. Commissioners, any questions, comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Please.
4 to 6 months, Commissioner Reed asked about the trail designation up on LeGrand. And I've heard from a few members of the public with where are we at on this? And I had assumed that at some point we'd have maybe like a public presentation discussion that an administrator, but I know that hasn't happened as yet. And I thought maybe we could either get that on a future meeting or if there's any knowledge in the room as to where we're at. I'm interested.
Okay. Is there any knowledge in the room? If not, acting manager, you want to say?
No, Mayor, City Commissioners, what I'll do is I will send that over to Doug and Parks and figure that out, and then we can get on a future admin meeting. There might be some email correspondence. We can figure out exactly what we're looking for, but I will have that discussion with them.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
All right, any others? Go ahead.
Just on that note, Mr. Mayor, I believe there was a memo that went out at some point that was mentioned in a meeting a few months back, essentially describing that until the property is annexed, the designation, but I think obviously sounds like we're going to loop back just to confirm that.
You lost your chance. No, go ahead.
Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. The Commissioner Dean is correct. The annexation of the property includes for Westside Woods includes a portion of LeGrand in order to complete from one end to the other a full trail across LeGrand. It really doesn't make sense for the city to designate that trail in any other way until the full trail is a part of the city. And so that plan is in place. As you recall, it might have been in the last month, Westside Woods got an extension on their first phase, which includes the dedication of that grant to the city. And so that's not likely to happen until that first phase is done. So that's just a timeline that we can expect. And so I think we've got another year to wait for that piece. But there is a plan to address it once it becomes a full trail. It's just that we've got now a timeline that's extended into next year.
Sufficient for me, Mr. Mayor, I think at this point. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
thank you. If I might, that is a slightly different or a more specific answer than the last time I asked about the possibility of designating in phases. And so I appreciate the perspective that it doesn't make sense, but I think it might be useful to understand why it doesn't make sense and what options might exist for designating the trail in phases, if that is something that could be done. And then maybe we would be in a better position to determine if it does or doesn't make sense, if that's okay.
Sure. All right. Do we have any others?
Thank you.
You bet. Okay. Recommendations from Helena Citizens Council, Representative Morrison, you have the floor if you're out.
We'll see if we can get his mic through.
Yeah, I'm here. This is Representative Morrison. I'm not sure, Mayor Collins, what I have the floor for, though. Just I'm here to, I think, observe and take notes back to the HCC. But thank you.
Okay, no problem there.
But thank you for letting me introduce myself.
To hear your voice, that's all.
Okay, make sure I'm paying attention. Good.
Mike, for just a moment. If Representative Morrison can hear us, can we try Commissioner Reed's audio?
Commissioner Reed, would you try your audio to see if you can hear us, please? Testing 1, 2.
Sorry, could you try again? I think I've just got it set.
Testing. Testing. This is your Mayor Wilmot Collins.
Duly noted. Unfortunately, I can only get the
Okay. All right. City Manager report. Acting City Manager Petty, you have the floor.
Mayor, Commissioners, just real quick, if I may, Commissioner Sherliff sent an email to Director Leland, reference one of the city water sources, and they're having some dead birds in that city water source. And if I could turn it over to him so he can kind of explain that and the filtration system that we have in place.
You bet. Director Leland.
Mayor, Commissioners, we did receive concerns about birds being in the reservoir and that there's potentially viruses that are in the water source. And the way it's set up is we do have a surface water source, so there are a lot of interactions with other animals, wildlife, humans, everything in Canyon Ferry water system that comes up. You look there, is our treatment system is set up to handle that. That is why we have it in there. And so we do have treatment in place where we do sedimentation, we do filtration, and then anything that goes through that is smaller, the viruses, we treat with chlorine. It's a disinfectant, and you have to have so much contact time to be able to kill the bacteria and the viruses or inactivate the viruses. And that is what we use and rely on, and we're in regulations and we've been around, and we don't see the overall waterborne illnesses that we have in the past way back in the way, and that's why we do treat the surface water instead of just not treating it, just putting it into the pipes. So we monitor for bacteria on a weekly basis. We have chlorine residual that is a daily basis, and what the state of Montana and the regulation of EPA uses is cryptosporidium and giardia, that they try and measure that to see if they are inactivated or not, because those are the hardest diseases to kill. If you inactivate them, then you pretty much get rid of everything else. So we do that, and we have 4 log removal, so we are in compliance and our water is safe.
Thank you.
Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Presentation, special event, application demo, Director of Transportation Systems, Skanopki, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners.
Just a moment.
I'm going to run through the new special events application really quick for you. Over the past couple of years, we have been using the Prevo M-Files interim kind of software. With the EPL and Tyler coming on board, we were able to do the permitting through the EPL piece of Tyler. And just to give you, as soon as it comes up, I'll give you a quick run through of what it looks like and what people will see when they get there. So the biggest thing that will be new for folks is to use the civic access portion. You have to basically have an account with civic access. So if you don't have an account, it'll when you go out to the special events page, everything on the special events page has been updated, including start application. That'll take you to the application to click apply. Again, when you go there, if you don't have an account, it'll prompt you and you'll create an account and you'll go from there. So if you have an account, then one of the big asks for the last one is having a saved, be able to save a draft. So what I did is I went in and I started an application.
And this is what, the average person's dashboard would look like, depending on how many permits they have. So all you have to do is go down there to your drafts. And it brings up your saved work. Eventually. And you just hit resume. And so this is the very start of an application. I just wanted to show that you can do the save a draft. So add a location, you just hit the plus sign. And it'll bring up a map. And then you can just start by typing the address that's closest to your event. It'll bring that up as the designated address. All you have to do is hit add. If there's going to be other locations, you just continue with that. Now these are going to be, because of the EPL software, these are going to be tied to basically a physical address that's in our system. As you go next, it gives you the permit, some of the general thing, minimum 30 days for events less than 1,000, 90 days for events over 1,000. The permit fees, emergency contact, just some of the information. Then you'll type your description of your event here. Ours is just a test. And then it'll ask you for contacts. So as you're the owner of the account, it'll automatically bring up your contact information. The other have options is authorized representative, owner, property owner, tenant. You put those names in there, it asks you for some contact information, and anybody that you put in there that you include a email address, they'll get all the emails correspondence associated with the permit. So the next is just very general. Name of applicant, and I'm not gonna type anything because my typing skills are not the fastest. So name of applicant, your primary phone number, your email address, what type of event it is, parade, race, block party, parklets. I should go back and tell you that on the map itself, as soon as our GIS servers get upgraded, there will be a function in there that if you have a parade route, you can just map the parade route in GIS and it will be in that permit. So again, how many people? Less than 1,000, more than 1,000. The event start date, you just, again, it's pretty easy. You just pick your dates, your time, and then your location. So this is where, if the physical address that you provided in the beginning isn't quote unquote the exact address that the event planner will be at or the main event is at, this is where you can type in, in front of 10 Mile Brewery, however you want to do it. And then that's just what that's why it's a duplicate. Then it just goes through and asks you questions. You need to, yes, and then you can put in a quick description. It gives you the link to the Parks Department there. So you can click on that so you can contact the Parks Department. And then it asks, will there be alcohol sold? If there is, then it goes through a licensed vendor needed. Again, this is part of our noise permit. If you're gonna have any of these things, it just checks it. Street closures, yes or no. And if there are, you just list the streets here. And then will you require police to be present? And then it's a yes or no again. We will have the contact information for PD there. It fell off in one of the last revisions. Then additional equipment, road closure signs, contact the traffic division at that number. So you can save the draft here. So then you don't lose any of your work.
Mr. Mayor, could I ask a quick question now?
Yes, sure.
The PD, will PD be required? Do event people know when they're required?
That'll only be if they need alcohol permits.
But does somebody know that that's, if you need alcohol, you need police? Does it explain that somewhere? Sorry, the scrolling, it was a little hard to follow.
There's a disclaimer that got inadvertently deleted that will say, if if you're requiring contact, and that'll be the disclaimer and the contact number.
Thank you.
Director Kanaki, if let's say they do select, they're gonna serve alcohol, could it automatically say you've police presence there? Is there an option that in there, is that doesn't have that functionality to it?
I'd have to defer to Director Brink.
Mayor and Commissioner, maybe.
Yeah, I was just thinking if we get to, if it's at a certain size, it automatically selects you need police presence, or if you're serving alcohol, you need a police presence. So just having those automatic triggers for certain.
Sure. Further, it's pretty intuitive, so yeah, I'm not sure I can do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Sherliff, I think another thing too with this is he'll have that contact number there for the police department. So you could have a large crowd size and not necessarily have police present. It just depends on location, when, where, alcohol being served. But those are questions that phone number will get you the person that you need to talk to about that. And we, like every other department, we work closely with the folks getting the permits to where we can say, yeah, it's probably good to have one or two there and so forth.
Okay.
Yep.
And then also we designated Mayor and Commissioners a point of contact. That number is a direct line to that person's desk. So if an event planner has questions, they can contact that person and ask those questions, and they're trained to be able to answer all those questions.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
sorry, it's really hard to hear and I can hear myself. Did we do a test with the people who came to that meeting about permits?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Monday.
When did that happen?
Monday.
Can you answer it yourself?
Okay.
Director Kanaki, what if I'm having problems filling out that form? Is there a number I can call or for someone to help me walk through that?
That would be the point of contact. That's that person's only, not the only job that they have, but that's their, to be the point of contact to answer questions and help people walk through through the process.
Thank you.
So the next step in here is any attachments. So as required by city code, proof of insurance is required. And again, it's just, you hit the plus sign. You'll have to know where your, insurance is. And then you just hit open and it gets it prepared to be uploaded. You can remove it and then any other attachments that you have, you can add there. So if you save draft, it'll only save the text portions. It won't save attachments within. So if you're getting to the point where you're attaching documents, you don't want to be having to save after that, because it doesn't save the documents. It only uploads the attachments upon submittal of the application. So there's the next, and so this is where you hit your submit. You can type your name, you can try to sign your name with your mouse. And then you hit next, and this is where you have a chance to review all the information that you put in there. And you can go back and change it. If not, you hit submit, and then it gets put into, you get taken to the next page to pay the fees associated with the special events permit. So I won't hit submit, because then that's a bigger issue, because this permit is actually live right now. So once you pay your fees, then it gets put into the workflow to the city staff that are in our workflow. We've added the clerk's office as just a kind of read-only reviewer, so that if the clerk sees or knows that you are on the lookout for an event or whatever, then they can she can let you know about it. be happy to answer any questions that you might have on this.
Questions, commissioners? Do we have any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, any online comments?
Is the walking mall considered a block party if you have any event on the walking mall?
So the walk,
Wait, Chris,
I'm so sorry. My
No,
name is
that's-
Abigail
thank you.
Goen. I'm the program manager at VIP.
okay.
Mayor and Commissioners, anytime it's in the other documents that you're using city property or city right of way, a special event permit is required. Some aspects of the walking mall require coordination with parks because they're the ones that permit the food trucks and some of the smaller spaces there. So there would be some coordination depending upon what the event was going to be envisioning.
Yes, Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
if I'm not too late, so this is the beginning of the process, the application process, and then it's dispersed to the departments and anyone involved, I guess, and how does that then get back to the applicant? And is that in a separate system or program, or is it in this, or?
So Mayor and Commissioners, that original dashboard that you saw, you can go in there at any time and check the status of your permit and see where it's at. And then if there are concerns or comments, the person that has the concerns or comments, they've been directed that they call the applicant directly so that they can either get, better clarification or get their questions answered. But ultimately, conditions are requirements, comments are, just kind of a general comment, but all those will eventually get onto the permit once it's approved. So when the permit is approved, they'll have a document of their approved permit and then all the conditions or comments on it.
Follow up if I may. Thank you. So there was I promise not to go off the rails here. There was an event this summer that caused some concern for some people that contacted me. And one of the things I did or found in researching that particular event was eventually somehow it ends up in M files, which I think is has a public facing piece of it. Is that in any way connected to this?
So right now it's not connected with them files. This would be connected through your EPL, your civic access account. But there is a link that you can go to and click on the civic access without logging in and search special events. Click on that and it'll give you all the pending or approved special events permits there.
There was as I looked at that, there was a lot of information in that M files part of it that, it seemed like it was kind of a real complete record of the event itself.
Mayor and Commissioners, that's what this is intended to be. This obviously is a new software, so we're still working on, but we wanted to get the new application because it is a bit more streamlined. It does have the ability to save the application as they go. And then, the information can be accessed with anywhere that you have an internet connection because it is through the civic access portal on the Tyler EPL side.
Thank you.
So so right now, anyone can see event permits in files, but say I'm a reporter for Montana Free Press who's interested in a potential upcoming event in the new system, they can now still go in civic access piece and see.
I'll quickly show this to you. So I'm logged out now. You would just go straight to the civic access portion and you hit the search and you can hit, special event. and I'll give you the pending and approved permits with the with that permit name.
No, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I was just reminded that this was one of the questions that I kind of wanted to ask. Don't know if it's related to what we've got here on the agenda, but is there opportunity in this system for feedback from the applicant to the city on how things went, and maybe you could do this or that?
So the intent, because we had we typically on our larger events have an after action meeting with the event organizer. We're going to be working with the manager to figure out where this goes, but basically after every event, one of our proposal is we have a meeting after every event, and that at that time we can tentatively put that event on the calendar for next year if they have that information, so that everything's fresh in everyone's mind and we don't forget 8 months later when we're trying to do the event application. It's all right there, and we can have that discussion and we can tweak things right then and there.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments from the public? Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, it appears I have no public comment on that.
All right, at this time, we'll have department reports, M-Files, agreement, workflow demonstration, and digitization project update. Clerk of the commission and or record systems administrator Curtis.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. Today, I would like to demonstrate for you essentially what is a document management system, and specifically the capabilities of the system that we use, which is called M-Files. We'd like to demonstrate that also with a glimpse into the digital contract routing and agreement routing process. Also giving you a sneak peek at the strategic plan facilitation and how that will work in conjunction with the PIO. And also we'll demonstrate some of the roadmap and future projects for 2025 as well. So really, what is a document management system? At its core functionality, it's a network of searchable documents. Basically, you can find any document in the system by any criteria which you can imagine. Not only on top of that, it'll also allow for work product to be developed entirely in the system through workflows that automate not only the approval process, but signature garnering as well, keeping it into one solution. On top of all that, it also allows us to automate our document retention, allowing us to better adhere to Secretary of State guidelines for documents. And then also it allows for us to have a public portal for the public to basically have access to any document within our system, which is under control. And we'll show the benefits both to internal staff and the public as well. So we can imagine some of the requests that the city gets can be quite complex, and oftentimes the information required is in separate locations and is often in a very static format that may not be useful to the individual seeking that out. Oftentimes with multiple individuals running around trying to dig into filing cabinets or trying to compile this information in a meaningful way. With M-Files, as you can see, we can take that entire process and condense it down into a mere instant where we can search by, as I said, any criteria imaginable to compile information with like terms, essentially. And so now we'll kind of dig into the agreement routing and contract process. So this is a quick demonstration of how easy it is to come into the system as an internal staff and generate a new document from start to finish in the system. So this demonstrates essentially how easy it is to compile all the information and get a document started in the system. And as you'll see here in a moment, once I create it, it'll automatically open up into Word. And then effectively, it'll fill in all the information on the cover sheet. And what this allows internal staff to do is to quickly come through and tab through the various fields they need to fill out and effectively fill out the agreement in a matter of minutes. No longer do we have to store things in the network drive and worry about copies of templates. All the templates are stored into M files itself. It also allows for rich text formatting, so we can easily paste fee schedules and other rich format into the document as well. So, and also kicking the, you can see how easy it is to approve documents in the system. Simply a click of a button will pass the document from one person to the next, sending them an email notification, telling them that there's work product ready for them to review. No longer will we have to run documents physically to somewhere, ever, wondering where that document is, whose desk is it sitting on, and who needs to sign it. It also facilitates the signing process fully within, it's kind of a mixture with Adobe Acrobat. Essentially, it sends an email to the individual who needs to sign it, and it takes them right to the spot where they need to sign. Simple as that. And that's just one of many processes that we've actually implemented in M-Files. Here are some of the other processes that have already existed in M-Files and have a public-facing connection to the public vault. And the more things we add to the system, the more context it gets. So now we can look into the system for contracts, see who worked on it, see what else they have worked on and what that work has impacted. And so I'll take you into a sneak peek of the strategic plan project, which is something that's an ongoing project for our office. This is a screenshot of a in development web page by the PIO, Jake Garson, for the strategic planning initiative. And essentially what this will allow us to do is to drill down into specific goals or actions that the city has come up with to better its processes effectively. And essentially, these links will ultimately lead back into the public vault in M-Files, linked to the very specific documents and work product that pertains to the actions. So essentially, you can see here, these are the different actions for the strategic plan initiative, and effectively there would be links alongside of this that would ultimately lead into our public vault where you have each of the actions and you can see each document that's associated with it, giving you once again more context to the work that's going on at the city. And this is kind of our future roadmap. So these are some of the things that we're looking to do in the coming calendar year, including that strategic plan initiative, along with public records requests, facilitating that in a much more streamlined fashion, adding an automated records retention module, also looking into bid acquisition and project books, and also expanding upon the agreement and building a more flexible agreement builder. I'll let Danae take the next part here.
So Mayor Commission, we just wanted to take this opportunity at the request of the city manager to show you a lot of the work that we've been doing in our office. I know you as a commission hear me blather on about M-Files. The staff glazes over at leadership meetings when I talk about it. But as I've said to all of you for many years, the work product, the paper that shuffles about the city is really the bloodstream for the work that the city does for its public. What we've taken is all of that paper and we're hopefully putting it all online. So what this does is we've given a list of the benefits for both staff and public, both internally and externally, and what we're trying to provide for improvement in process. So you'll see on both sides, there's cost savings. Cost savings is important for both the internal staff and for the public. We want to be good stewards of the city's dollars, the taxpayers' dollars, not printing paper, not wasting staff time digging through boxes. That's all amounts in millions of dollars over time in cost savings. Accuracy in work by creating boilerplate language and templating every process that we can. We avoid typos, confusion among staff. And so when those documents are exchanged, we take away inaccuracies and human error that might have been there before. Security and compliance is another great one because we are legally required to comply with the Secretary of State's retention laws. It is a difficult concept for a lot of staff, especially when we're working with departments that have had a lot of turnover over the years, about what their legal obligation is to take care of the records that are the public's records. And while it seems like a really exciting and sexy topic for everyone at 5 o'clock in the evening, records retention is super important. And it's what we talk about day in and day out. So what we're hoping to do is automate and digitize that process entirely. That also leads into transparency and improved accountability to the public, which I think we all have heard many times over is very important to the constituency. Improved customer service. I can't tell you how frustrating it is for staff to get a phone call from a constituent or a member of the public and not be able to answer requests as quickly as they're used to in a modern era. Google is at our fingertips all the time. Essentially, that's what mFiles is. It's an internal Google for the city. With Curtis's tireless work, he's setting up Google on the back end for the city of Helena, and I can't speak enough about what that means.
What's going on? Okay, please continue.
I bored her too much, I guess. This is all super important for the city staff and for the public that we serve. So if you have any questions, we're happy to help that or answer them. We're happy to help anyone internally that has a process that they would like to use. We'd be happy to share information with the public that wants to know. Ultimately, our goal is to have every public record possible within the system and available at the touch of a button to the public. Said that word enough. So with that, I'll answer any questions you might have, commissioners and mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have not found, it's probably due to having not looked in the right place, but a single link to files to the, the public's, if they wanted to go in and search, like there's, special events, there's a CAFR, there's minutes, there's ordinances, resolutions, on and on and on that the public can access, but it's all sort of department oriented. Would it make any sense to have that on the front page of the city's website or it may already be there?
Mayor, Commissioner Logan, of course, and that's actually on our document here. One of the main reasons we haven't just given a open-ended access to the system is that we wanted to provide, at least initially, to the public context around what those documents are. There's ways for us to pre-filter, they call them views and mFiles, relevant documents. So the ACFR that you've referred to for the finance department, those all exist for the last 20 years in the system. So people can read through the accounting for the city if that's their bag to their heart's content. That link exists on the finance webpage, but without context, some people may not understand how to navigate the system. So we provide those specific links to those specific pre-filtered items. But the goal will ultimately be to kind of have an open gate to the system so people can search it at their will. What we'll probably do is get a few more processes built out in the system and get a little bit more content in the system. Not everything at this stage, even though it's a public record, is wide open. Internally, we can pull up practically any type of document at this stage, maybe not all of the documents, but any type of document for folks that request records. However, until we build out each and every system, it's a lot of work. We don't want to just open the floodgates and then have someone ask, well, how come I can get minutes from the last 20 years, but not the previous 20? So TBD, but it's coming. I promise.
Thanks.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I can hear now. I think you can hear me.
Yep.
Great. My phone died, but now I can do all the normal things.
I think the clerk's office has probably given you guys yourselves enough credit. I think some context that would be really helpful is that this is a project that started a couple years ago. to essentially overhaul our entire and modernize the entire way that we handle documents and provide access to the public. And as you said, it may not be the sexy thing to talk about at 5 o'clock, but in my opinion, I think this is truly one of those things that will be revolutionary for the city in the next 10 years. And I'm really excited to see where we go from here, especially when we talk about like building in our strategic planning. And all of this is a result of like very strategic thinking of how do we budget and bring departments together to put a piece of software like this out there. And so I'm just hats off to the entire office because I truly do think in 10 years, this is going to be something that we'll wonder why we didn't do sooner, but it will provide access to every kind of person who ever wants to know what's happening in the city and how to find historical information and also engage in a meaningful way.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Madam Clerk, congratulations to you and your team on this. It's a long way from the big books that you're in the back scanning from 100 years ago to today. With regards to safeguarding for posterity, do we have redundancies in place in case something were to happen to servers to protect all the work that you've done?
Sure, and I'm sure that I can ask Commissioner Shirtliff. And Alex being much younger than I am, I have speculated many times over about what happens if the internet goes down. We need to have our paper records, and you'll see me running out of the building with all of them in my arms. But they've assured me that's not going to happen, and therefore most of the work that the city does at this point is cloud-based. Now we're counting on servers elsewhere, as I understand it, to hold the integrity, but there are redundancies built in, and a lot of the records, especially the very important permanent records, we have internal redundancies that are on static state servers or hard drives, excuse me, that we duplicate some of those records that are absolute that we need to keep.
Thank you.
Do you have any others? Are you done?
I would just like to finish off, Mr. Mayor, and say that sprinkled throughout your, and maybe maybe not, the strategic plan, our initiatives and action plans, many of which have to do with modernizing the city's processes. This is a huge part of that. And as much as I could say that, we would have gotten here when I started talking about this 5-6 years ago and boring everybody with this topic, there's no way I could have done it without Curtis and without Alex's help. So I can't thank them enough for the work that he's done with the work she's done. She's the mom of the office, believe it or not, and separates Curtis and I as we argue through every bit of this entire thing. So I really appreciate both their input and their help. And we're always open to ideas from the public and from you all as commissioners. I know it's very important that the public and the people you serve have access to the things that matter to them. So if there's things that we need to prioritize, we're willing to listen. So thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay, sorry, my audio's cutting out as is everything else. So I just very quickly want to congratulate the full office, Danae, with your leadership, and Curtis and Alex for everything you've done. This really has been many years in the making, and I'm delighted to see the progress. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay. At this time, is there anyone from the public wishes to address the commission? Madam Clerk, do we have any online?
Since it appears I have no public comment.
Once, twice, this meeting is adjourned.